Hello, and thank you for watching my YouTube channel, Kate May Modern Day Mystic. Do subscribe to me and you'll be seeing lots more tutorials. Today we're going to have a little look at the Death card. Now the Death card does seem to scare quite a lot of people there on two levels here. As a client, when I'm doing a reading for somebody and they see the Death card, you can see straight away in their face, it's like, oh shit, got the Death card. For readers, we also, some of us think, oh God, I've got to interpret the Death card. But I don't want you to be frightened of it. The Death card is the Death card. It's an ending. No two ways about it. Now, if you get this card as a client there, you are coming to some kind of ending in your life. There is something that is finished, that is done, that has completed a phase, okay? It doesn't have to be the death of a person. It can simply be the death of, the death of a relationship, the death of a job, the death of a difficult time, the death of a situation that's going on around you at the moment. You know, we're coming now to the end of lockdown, so that will produce the Death card because we are coming out of one stage and going into another. What I find interesting is some readers try to bring this card for new beginnings. They absolutely dismiss the death part of it. They forget about, you know, I don't know why, maybe they're a little bit cautious that they don't want to talk about death, but they talk about new beginnings. Oh, it's fantastic, you've got the Death card, you're going to have some new beginnings. Yes, you are going to have new beginnings because you can't have a door closing without a new one opening. But you have to acknowledge the death of it. This is the Death card. If you were going to have new beginnings, you would have got, I'll find it to hand, you would have perhaps the Magician, perhaps there, or you may have an Ace of something coming in, or you may have the Fool. Okay, so if it was just new beginnings only, those are the cards, I can't find my Fool, but those are the cards that you would have. You wouldn't need to talk about the Death card because you're just talking about new beginnings. When you get the Death card, it's really important that you own it, that you acknowledge it, that you honour. There is some shredding going on. There is something here, shedding even. There is something here where you are shedding your skin, you are letting go, and you are coming to the end of a situation. So we talk about these new beginnings because we want to fluff it up. We don't want to tell people that they're coming to an end. But you need to acknowledge it, otherwise this card, there's no point in having this card otherwise. If you're not going to own it, you're not going to acknowledge it, we might as well bin it. Now the Death card asks you to surrender, to accept the change. It's connected around Pluto, it's connected around regeneration and birth and rebirth, but also in endings. And you can't have a rebirth without a death of some kind, or you can't have a new beginning without an ending. When we get these new beginning cards, lost it now, when we get these new beginning cards, we don't start saying, oh, you've had a load of endings around you, or there's been some death around you, or you've had these changes, things have been final. We just go straight into the new beginnings because we want to do everything positive. So why do we always end up bringing the positives and we forget about maybe the darker side of this card? Got to acknowledge it there. Maybe it's something in your own personal life that you don't want to admit, so you're projecting some of that fear into the card. The Death card, plain and simple, is an ending. Now you may have this as an ending. I've had it for people where they've started a new relationship and then they've had this as their outcome. It's not going to end well, is it? There's going to be an ending, okay? Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be that relationship, but there will be some ending to it. But sometimes if they're asking me, am I going to be staying with this person? Probably not. It's got a Death card with it, you know, probably not. You want to be real, you've got to be open, and you've got to be honest to somebody. I wouldn't necessarily, unless I knew them, I wouldn't necessarily say, oh, don't bother going there. It's not going to work out well, it's going to come to an end, because they need their lessons. They need to experience things. That's why they've met this person. They've got to go through the journey. So even though it may not end, there's a lovely journey on the way there. They're going to learn things. So they've got to experience. You've got to let your client experience things. I've done it for myself when I've done, should I do this, should I do that? This card's come up and like, no, not a good time to do it then, not a good time. So it's really good to give you a yes or no answer. This would be a no, not at the moment answer there, it's not in your favour. But the Death card here is something coming to an end. Now, it's not ethical to talk about death as a person, it's not. Yes, I have seen it when I've done people's readings, particularly if somebody is terminal, you know, or is talking about somebody that's terminal. But is it going to help them for them to know, they know it deep inside, is it really going to help them to know that actually, yeah, it is coming, they are going to die, and it's going to be in 3 weeks' time? It's not really helpful. There's so much more that you can talk about and that you can encourage them. But you can't lie to them. You can't say, well, yeah, that person's going to live forever and ever, when A, the death card is staring them straight in the face, but also they know that this is a terminal condition. So you can move it into a better way of language by saying it's a regeneration, it's a rebirth, and it's a change, it's a cycle coming to an end. But please do acknowledge the end. Please don't just say, oh, it's okay because they're going to live in a higher life, they're going to be moving on to something much more better. Absolutely they will, but please acknowledge an ending coming in there. If you are talking about that somebody who is passing that you definitely know is going to pass and you're comfortable with that client. I would not talk about death of a person in any other way. I wouldn't even go there, and I make it very clear at the beginning of each reading that I'm not going to predict death, and that if they are asking me that, it's just not something I'm going to do. It's not ethical. I don't feel it's right. It's not going to serve anything. But sometimes it will creep in if that person is terminal and it's obvious, okay? But I would be led by the client, 100% be led by the client as to where you're going with that. Now, if this is the only card that talks about death, there's going to be other things in there that you can talk about. I don't want to dismiss it, I don't want to ignore it, but I also don't want to be focusing all my attention on this when there's quite clearly other things going on. Most of the time though, probably about 98% of the time, this is to do with a situation that's coming to an end. As a major card, it is something quite important. It is going to be something that could impact their life. It's a change that's coming up. Now this really could be a house move from one house to another. I've had that quite a few times. This could be where they may be moving abroad. One lifestyle is ending to form a new lifestyle. This definitely could be end of a relationship there, or ending of a job, or ending a current situation that they know there is no future in. Most of the time the client is slightly aware that in their gut feeling that something is bubbling towards an end. And they're coming to you to probably see that that's not correct, to see that they're wrong, or they're coming to you to confirm what they already know. Yes, I know that job wasn't no good for me. I know that I shouldn't be stuck in that place. I know that I want a change coming up. So a lot of the time the client, and I do believe that the card should read relevant to the client. I do believe that they should be understanding what you're saying, that these things shouldn't be a complete mystery and you're saying things that they've got no idea about. Otherwise you could absolutely make it up, couldn't you? And that's not right. So I do believe that they will have a awareness of whatever you're talking about, or should have an awareness of whatever you're talking about. So as a client, if you come to me for a reading and we get the death card, I'm not going to say you're on your way out, it's all game over. Absolutely not. What I'm going to, depending on what the other cards talk about there and where this ending fits, I will acknowledge this card. I will say, you've got the death card, you can see it, I can't hide it, I'm not going to sit on it. You can see it, so there is an ending coming up in your life. Usually I will pull another card on top of this. Now we may find that we've got the Wheel of Fortune. So from this ending, from this change, we've then got a whole new cycle. This really flows well together actually. A whole new cycle. You've learnt your lessons, you're ready for a whole new chapter. If this card is something a little bit challenging, let's say if this is card combination now, moved into that. If this card is a bit challenging, going through an ending and it's going to be difficult. But you don't just want to leave that. I'm not just going to leave that with you. It's going to be difficult. Tough luck, mate. See ya. Give us your money, you're off. No. I like to be able to say, so this is going to be difficult. So how can you get through this? How can you help yourself through this difficult time? We know there's an ending. We now know it's going to be difficult. So let's have a look at how you can help yourself. Well, this card particularly asks that you reach out for others, that you don't struggle on your own, that you do reach out. But I might look at the cards, we might pull the Queen of Pentacles. How can you help yourself through this difficult time? Hold on a minute. Do you know a Taurus, Virgo or Capricorn? If you do, maybe it's mum, maybe it's your sister, maybe it's your girlfriend. She's going to come in and help you. She's going to come in and support you. So reach out to that person. All right. So there's other ways that you can use the cards to be able to help a difficult situation. If you've got Let's have a look. If you've got the Sun card after the death, happy days. So you'll be glad of that ending. From that ending is going to be something beautiful coming up for you. And if you look, actually, just randomly pulled this card, you've got the sun in the background, and there he is illuminated. So you're bringing forward that positive energy. This is your light at the end of the tunnel. This is your saviour. Okay. So with every ending, yes, there are some positive traits to it. And the sun is one of them. New dawn, new day, new beginning. So there are absolutely ways that you can work with challenging cards, being the death one of them. But do acknowledge it. Don't try and hide it. Otherwise, just throw it away. There's no point you having the death card in your deck if you're not going to actually acknowledge and honour the death of a situation, okay? If you fluff it up too much, you're missing the point, and you're giving your client, in their mind, they'll be thinking, I've got all these new things, it's going to be fantastic, everything's going to be lovely. And when it comes to it and there's an ending, they'll be like, oh, actually, I don't think that I had to go through an ending to get to this. She didn't mention that. So it leaves a bit of a gap in my mind, leaves a bit of a gap there. As a reader, don't be frightened of it. Sit on it, use it, meditate it. Find how you can bring that alive, that death card alive. Don't fear it though. Death waits for no one. Everyone is going to go through death at some point in their life. We're all going to lose someone we love. We're all going to have an ending of a relationship, the ending of a job, the ending of something. We can't hide that in our lives, so we shouldn't hide it in the tarot. So acknowledge the death card, accept the death card, honour it, and the chances are it won't, in your own personal life, you'll stop fearing it. And as a client, if you're coming and you see the death card, just think, it's a change. Great, it's a change. Something needs to come to an end. A natural cycle of events is naturally occurring. Quite often this card will come up towards the end of the year. For people when we're just coming to the end of the year. I've had it recently as we are coming out of this lockdown that we're going through in the UK, particularly at the minute. I'm talking here because that's where I'm from, homing it in there, where we've got a new set of changes coming up, all right? So there is going to be some change, there is going to be endings. I've got so used to working from home, so used to being in my little bubble, I'm definitely going to have an ending. I'm going to end all this. You know, I've got to change everything around again. I've got to get my head around that change. Some people who love change, Scorpios, Aquarians, and Gemini, some people who like change are going to adapt more easily to this card than others. I can't bear change. I'm a typical Taurus, likes everything to stay the same. I'm very traditional. And I like everything to stay the same forever. So this card is always a bit challenging for me when I'm personally going through it. Once I reach the other side, I'm like, oh, that was so much better. It's the process I don't like. But honouring the death card when you're doing a reading, or if you're having a reading, accept that the death card is coming up. It is bringing a change to you. Doesn't have to be the death of a person. Do not think for 1 minute that you're going to have somebody passing around you. Really, really doesn't mean that. Don't be frightened of it. It's an ending to a situation that is now at its time. It's had its day and it's ready for something new to come about. Okay? And like I said, if you do have somebody that you're concerned about and that you're coming to the reading about that person who has got a terminal condition, this card may resonate to you. Think, okay, well, I know they're going to pass at some time. But personally, as a reader, I wouldn't go down that road. If they tell me, well, I do know, I'm not going to ask them, do you know someone that's going to die? If they tell me, actually, I also know that, I don't know, my grandma has got terminal cancer, for example. Okay, so I would then say, well, perhaps that's coming in around there as well. But I'm not going to dwell on that because that's not going to help the person. There's going to be other cards that you can look for. And like I said, if they've got endings and they've got challenges with those endings, certainly pick some more cards to give your client some guidance, some help, some support to get through that difficult time. Don't leave them sitting with that card. But don't fear it. Don't fear it. There's lots more positivity around it, but do acknowledge it. Otherwise, you might as well, like I say, just bin it, and it may not as well not be in the deck at all. So I hope that helps you come to terms and be a bit more familiar with Mr. Death card there. We've all got to go through it. And you can see that the crown of the king in the picture, this isn't a particularly good picture, has fallen. And that means that death waits for no one. That means that we are all open to change of some kind there. Regeneration. Thank you for watching. If you want to see any more tutorials, do subscribe to my channel. Catch me on Instagram under Kate May Modern Day Mystic. If you're not and you already want to be part of my tarot group on Facebook, Kate May Modern Day Mystic, and look forward to joining my VIP Mystic Membership Lounge, where we'll be doing a little more on tarot work, life coaching work, law of attraction, and bringing the tarot, bringing everything together there to really help you guys empower yourself and to give you the tools to be able to help you get your lives back on track.